All right, hey everybody, and welcome to ChiuStream, where we talk about art and life as an artist. I'm your host, Bobby Chiu, and I also have on here my co-host, Shiuan Chan. Hey, Shiuan.
Hey Bobby, hey Patricia. Hi everyone, Happy New Year.
Yes, I was going to get to Patricia, but I'll get to her right now. Patricia is also on here. She will be moderating the Discord channel, which is going to be great. You could call in and ask your stuff. However, I'll get to the address very soon. I also want to mention that you can also type in your questions if you want to go to slido.com. Type in the hashtag ChiuStream, and then you can enter into all the questions that have been uploaded for the stream, and you can vote on the ones that you want to have answered the most, as well as ask your own questions, and no sign up needed or anything like that. However, if you do sign up, then, or if you do put in your name, then we would be happy to give you a shout out. Now, the last thing I want to mention here is Discord. So you can see the Discord address on the screen now. If you look up that address, you can join in on the Chew streamers and everything. Is that a word? Is that? I'm sure we used that before. But yeah, you could join in with all the others, and you can ask us a question live. You could call in like one of them old timely radio channels or whatever. Hello, caller. All right. So, what are we doing here today? We are talking about confidence in your art. That is something that has been plaguing the new generation, especially, I think. The new generation of artists. And I'll tell you why. When I was when I was a little boy, I didn't have the internet, so I thought my art was great. Now we have the internet, and we can see how horrible our art is before it becomes great. So I don't know. I feel like that is a huge component of why so less people have, or so many more people have problems, with confidence in their art. Well, so the first thing I wrote down is, hey, that's the best thing about art is that you cannot buy your way in. You gotta do your time, right? You gotta do your time in order to develop those skills. And it's not gonna come very quickly. So a lot of people will be deterred when they start messing up, when they start to create mistakes. But the whole entire word mistake, you are trying to take something, it's just you missed it. The best way to get that thing is to keep trying, right? And so the first thing I wrote down here that I want to express and talk about is failing is a part of learning, right? And there is no other path. You have to fail for a long bloody time before you do anything that you might feel is good. And a lot of people, they will go years and years, perhaps decades, when everybody else thinks that their stuff looks good and they still don't.
Mhm.
Can we talk about that a little bit, Patricia, Schwen? Do you guys have anything that you want to kind of mention about this topic?
Yeah, that's interesting that you also felt this way, Bob, because I never knew. I remember Dice saying something very, very similar to your experience, where he went to an art school and there were like a bunch of old people there and not a lot of students. And these old people would just like walk around the room and comment here and there, and they gave him like a lot of compliments and started saying like, "Oh wow, your art is wonderful. You should be an artist and everything." But he didn't realize at the time that they were saying that to everybody. But he felt like really boosted, and then he actually ended up pursuing art because of this assurance from these people. And it's kind of similar to what you were saying, right? Like kind of like a blind confidence. And of course, looking back, he knows that his work back then wasn't um, good at all at that time, but then that gave him that confidence he needed, and to motivate himself to pursue art.
That is actually a really great point where it's not like everybody lacks confidence in art. It goes
Mm-hmm.
the other way as well. When there's some
Mm-hmm.
people that feel like they are absolutely brilliant and just nobody really understands their art yet, you know?
Mm.
Or, yeah, like people just don't get it yet. Or they have
Mm.
some other excuse. Oh, it's because I don't have, a million followers. So, of course, you're not going to think my art is any good. So there's that
Mm.
part as well. Confidence, ego, it's kind of like fire. You need it to survive, but
Mm-hmm.
too much fire, too much of an ego. You will
Yeah,
die.
that's
You will
very
burn your
important.
house down. You won't die, but you'll burn your house down. You know what I mean? So, gotta take it with a grain of salt. Now, I would love to get into the first question because I think the first question is perfect for this topic, for this stream. Uh, Anonymous asks, do you have any advice on getting over imposter syndrome on getting your first job?
Mm.
Well, I think
Mm.
first we have to kind of like, okay, Schwen, have you ever gone through
Mhm.
imposter syndrome? I would say yes.
Yeah, I think I'm still reading that.
Right? Patricia, have you ever gone
Mm.
through imposter syndrome?
I remember my first job, and yeah, it was very daunting at first because it's the first time you get money for your work or your
Mm.
value,
But
and
did it feel strange?
Mm.
Did it feel like you kind of snuck in somehow and people didn't understand that you are underqualified?
I had really the best client, so it was very good for me.
Oh,
They
okay.
were very positive, but yeah,
Well, I
um,
definitely felt like, okay, here's my ultimate imposter syndrome. I'm in New York for the very first New York Comic Convention, way, way back, and I'm selling stuff. I'm selling like one or two art books, and I'm selling some prints. And somebody buys a print from me for, I don't know, $25 and asks me to sign it. I'm like, that's so weird, right? That's so weird.
Mm.
And then I thought,
Mm.
like, oh my gosh, I just ripped this person off because that piece of paper only cost me like, a few cents,
Mm.
right? Like 50 cents, a dollar or something like that to
Mm.
actually probably a little bit more than a dollar to print it out, like $2 or something altogether. But anyways, you know what I'm saying? I felt like I was ripping the
Yeah.
person off, right? And that was my
Mm.
one of my earliest memories of imposter syndrome. But
Mm. Like you can't believe that someone actually bought it. Like,
like that person must have been
mm.
mistaking me for somebody with talent. That's what I thought. Like a real artist. She must have been mistaking me for a real artist.
Mm.
But that's how so many of us feel. And then working on, your first big movie or whatever. And for me, it was a gradual thing where like the first five films that I worked on never came out. So
Mm.
it also felt like imposter jobs. Yeah, but there you go.
Mm.
All right, so why don't we go on to the next question here? Or actually, let's go to something else I wanted to talk about here. Okay, so um, if you paint and draw something that you don't understand, anyone that does understand will know right away that you didn't understand it. Okay, so what I mean by this is like you're painting um, some a person and you're getting to a body part and you're like, I don't really fully understand this. I'm just gonna round it off or whatever.
Mm.
Anybody that
Mm.
does understand how to paint people, anatomy or whatever, will be able to know that you don't understand it. Now, how is this going to
Mm.
bring confidence in what you do? Because now it's making me feel like less confident myself. Just going, oh shoot, yeah. So everybody knows everything that I don't know. Uh,
Mm.
or everybody that knows everything that I don't know will know that I don't know it by looking at my art, which is true. But you can have a lot more confidence in your art if you're painting things, drawing things that you fully understand. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be trapped, you're going to be locked in this certain space of things that you can paint and draw. It doesn't mean that. It means keep learning, keep understanding, and once you understand something, bring it into your art. But if you're painting something that you don't fully understand, seek to understand it and then come back, repaint it or whatever. Because every time you put something out where you understood everything about it and why you were doing everything that you're doing in that painting, generally you should feel a lot more confident in that because you know there are no holes here. You understand all of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. It kind of like boosts your or assure yourself in a way about your knowledge and some kind of validation.
Yeah, it's not like you have to put down everything in there. You don't have to necessarily, like, if you don't understand light and shadow and structure that well, perhaps you really really understand 2D design. Then just do something
Mm,
flat and cool looking because there's still, like, it doesn't all have to be rendered. Come on.
mm,
Right? That's what I'm saying.
mm,
So you just put down
mm.
what you understand. That will bring you a lot of confidence into your art as well.
Right, like the comfort zone, draw from your comfort zone and what you're sure of, and then build off from there.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Uh, which actually leads me into another little thing that I literally just wrote down as we're getting ready for the stream, which is to learn simple lessons thoroughly. I think this was a huge, huge benefit in my career when I was just starting off as a student and everything. And even now, I do the exact same thing. I don't try to learn huge, vast amounts of knowledge. I try to learn very simple lessons and learn them very thoroughly instead of trying to, like, you just skim the surface on physics. And it's like, you aren't a physician or a physicist, right? Um,
Mm,
you need to know the stuff well. So generally, let me put this into some context here. So, for example, um, a finger, right? Don't learn the whole body just yet. Just learn the finger. Really, really understand how does that finger work? How much padding is in the finger? How much muscle? How much skin? All that stuff. And then to really thoroughly learn it, learn a different kind of finger. Perhaps it's a lizard finger, right? Perhaps
mhm,
it's a monkey, perhaps it's a whatever it might be, and then try to find the similarities. I found
mm,
that, like teeth, super interesting. I thought it was so interesting when I was starting to, right, like dive into teeth. Because, okay, first you have the normal human teeth, you got the molars, you got the canine teeth, and then
mm,
you have the front teeth. Okay, interesting, I guess. Then you get into meat eaters, right? And you get into like tigers and stuff, and you're like, wow, those teeth are cool. That's really looking interesting.
mm,
Then you get into hippos or something, and or hippos, or I think beavers do the same thing. Their teeth are constantly touching each other whenever they close their mouths, sharpening their teeth, right? So,
oh,
yeah, so like hippos, they look like they have big cylindrical teeth, but actually the part of the cylinder that you can't see on the other side of the cylinder is completely flat. It's super sharp. It's got a super sharp edge because it's constantly sharpening with the other teeth, right? And there's
mm,
actually holes in the mouth so that these giant teeth can go into the holes and so that the hippo can still close its mouth with those big, big teeth in there.
that's interesting. But like, would you say then that how do you differentiate something small and something heavier? Like what's the range that you would suggest, Bobby? Like you're saying, small lessons, get them right.
It's
But
I
what
think
would
it's all
cut
relative.
to the
It's all relative to
mm,
where you are at this point. You know,
mm,
if you know the human anatomy inside and out, then you might just go straight into, much more complex stuff. If you
mm,
if you don't know structure yet, I wouldn't say go for a finger, I'd say go for a box and try to see how you can relate
right.
everything that you want to paint, even a ball. How can you relate that to a box? And after that, how can you relate it to a cylinder, a sphere, and so on and so forth. And then you start to combine all these different shapes. Now, I know that sounds like this is like a kindergarten podcast or something, but it's not. Like part of why Craig Mullins can paint such crazy epic stuff is because he can see it and kind of imagine it in such a simplified way. Right? If you can look at,
Mm,
the most complex stuff in terms of cylinders and cubes and things like
and
that,
boxes.
you'll have a lot more control.
Mm,
Yeah. So there you go. I want to mention that because if you're able to learn more, if you're able to learn more effectively, then again, it will build your confidence with your art. All right, so where do you want to go now? We could go to another question from Slido. I guess let's do that. Why Alex? Why Alex? Why? Says, any possibilities of a golden ticket or community challenge in 2020 to win a year-long Schoolism subscription? Wow, that's cool. I never really thought of that. If you have any
yeah.
good ideas, hey, if anybody has any good ideas, like a seriously good idea of like how we can make this challenging and fun and well-deserved, you know, give me your ideas in the comments. Put them in there. What kind of a challenge would you want to see that you think would be
Mm,
fair and good for the art community? I'd totally be interested in reading it. Next next one is from ChiuStreamer regular CJ
yeah.
Rusoto. Hey CJ asks, do you guys have any advice for training multiple disciplines? I want to dedicate this year to mostly perspective, creative writing, among other things. Um, yeah, I say like the very first thing is try to do one thing at a time. Generally, do one thing at a time. It generally works out way better. However, uh, you know, that's a perfect kind of scenario. Not all of us can do those kind of things. Sometimes we need to do more than one thing at a time. So in that case, this doesn't work for everybody. I'm pretty sure. I'm not totally 100% sure, but it works for me. I have like 3 or 4 things that I need to do in a day. I have them very readily accessible from where I am, my workspace. So I will just plug away at one thing and go very quick, lots of energy, and then once I start slowing down, I switch to the next thing. And once I start feeling, oh, things are slowing down there, I switch to the next thing again. So you could be heavily doing perspective studying. Once you start to feel it's slowing down a bit, change to creative
Mm,
writing. A lot of times
mm,
you're drawing something, you're painting something, you walk away, you come back, and you see exactly what you need to do next. This is what
right.
it does,
Right.
right? This is what
Yes.
that practice will do for you. You'll be able to come
Mm,
look at all your stuff with a very fresh eye all the time. However, creative writing, I don't know. Because I'm
mm,
thinking, creative writing, do I need to read all this stuff over again to get me back on track to go forward even more? I'm not too sure because I haven't done as much. There you go. That's my 2 cents there.
But Bobby, like a quick question that's kind of like something I myself want to know about you. So, how many of this do you work at any one time?
I generally like to have 3 or 4 things that I need to work on
Mm,
in a day. But then I also
three.
feel like perhaps I have a little bit of like ADD or something. I doubt it's, if I do, I doubt it's a severe version. Um, but I definitely felt like I get so much more done when I lay things
Mm-hmm.
out like that. It could be very draining for some people, though.
Yeah.
All right. So why
Okay.
don't we go on to, what do you say, next question, or do you want to hear another thing that I wrote down?
We kind of want to hear what you wrote down, Bobby.
All right. Well, this one's simple. I'll just read this one real quick. I was just like, generally, the more you learn and the better you get, the more confident you'll become. Now, I wrote this down and it sounds super simple, but the thing is, a lot of times it's like some people, they need to be in a physical school in order to
Mm,
go, okay, I need to learn. But
mm,
the top people, they just keep learning. Even after they're out of school, when they're working, even when they're a supervisor, art director, production designer, they're still learning. So make it part of your habits. Now, you could just say, okay, well, yeah, I don't have time. But the thing is, even if you have 5 minutes and you do 5 minutes of drawing and 5 minutes of doing a very simple study, right? Learning simple things, like I was saying before, maybe you're just drawing a finger for 5 minutes.
mm-hmm.
You'll get some stuff done. You'll get a lot of stuff done. And the thing is, if you're trying to go, okay, I got 5 minutes, I'm going to do this epic scene of like every Marvel character fighting every DC character. It's going to be fun and viral. No, man, that's not going to happen. Right? So these things, they line up together, right? Learning simple
Right.
lessons, and also generally, the more you learn, the better you get, the more confident you become.
Like a vicious cycle almost.
Like a lovely balancing act, right? Yeah, cycle,
Mm,
balancing act, totally. I hear you. Like in the very beginning, we were talking about art books and we had a bunch of subjects, and it's very easy to pick a very, very, very challenging subject, right, Xuan?
yeah, I know. I'm definitely the one that like I'm the dreamer, right? I remember you're always the one helping me to anchor it down, to getting it more specific and more realistic steps.
Yeah. Well, that happens to all of us. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It happens to all of us.
mm,
So,
mm.
all right. Why don't we go on to another question here? This one's from Anonymous. Question: where do you go
One
on social media to see artists in your industry? Oh, this is from Emmanuel.
in one.
Emmanuel R. So, where do we go? Generally, I go to Instagram, right? I don't know. Where do you go
Yeah,
for your inspiration nowadays, or to see
it's
your artists?
it's really it's really Instagram, but I also post like people who are more into concept art would go to ArtStation, where some would go to DeviantArt, some would go to Pinterest if you're more into graphic design or like more designer part of scope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I like all of those, and Pinterest is something I don't go on as much, but it's really great, isn't it? Like all of them are great, but Pinterest is so awesome because once you pick one thing, it shows you a bunch of stuff that's related to that one thing.
Yeah,
It is such a rabbit hole,
yeah.
so you got to be careful on Pinterest. I find I could stay on there for so long. And then you're like, "Oh, you know what? I should make a collection of these things."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then so on and so forth.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, all right. Next little tidbit here that I want to talk about is this one, especially after you're talking about social media, don't compare your art to others. See what
Mm-hmm.
others are doing. But the best person to compare yourself to is yourself.
Mm.
It's yourself, right? And I'll just add one other one on there. Don't be competitive, be creative. You're not trying to compete against everybody. You're trying to be creative as you can, staying in your lane, doing your thing. You're taking a look at what everybody else is doing. Great. We applaud them, but they're on their own journey. They have their own story, they have their own experiences. Some had it much harder than you, some had it much easier than you, but we're all on our own path, so who cares?
That's really interesting that you literally said lane, Bobby, because I remember Stanley also said kind of something very similar, where he said like art is like bowling. You have to concentrate on your own lane and your own game, but you're aware that there are people also playing right next to you in the lane, competing in a way, but your focus should be on your own lane and your own game and getting each game like a strike every time, and learning from there. And the progress is very individual.
Huh. Yeah. You know what? I love I love Stanley Archer Lau's uh, metaphors. He has a lot of really good ones. I like the one where he said, talent. Okay, talent is developed. Something like this. Talent is developed,
Mm.
but and it's not something that you're born with. But everybody's born with different kinds of hardware. I was like, I like that. That's good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for
I
me,
can hear you say.
I kind of picture it like I'm driving in a car, or I'm walking down my own path. It's nothing to do with
Mm,
bowling, and there's nobody else that I see on this path really, because they're all on their own paths.
mm,
Yeah, sometimes we
mm,
we
mm,
cross each other's paths and we say hi, and that's pretty much it.
mm, mm.
Um, Here we go. Here's one last thing that I wrote down here I want to mention, and then we'll just get into questions, okay? Or whatever else we talk about. Concentrate on enjoying the process of art more than the result, and you'll have much happier days. This is so true for so many people because so many of us, especially working in the entertainment industry where it takes multiple artists to create something, a lot of times our idea of is it a success or what are we concentrating on? We're concentrating on stuff that's out of our control. Will this be a hit game? Will my director approve this? Things like that. Hey, we're painting and drawing, we're sculpting, we're animating for a living. Isn't that what you kind of did
Mm.
as a little child? You sculpted, you painted, you drew, you grabbed some little toys, you animated them fighting other little toys, right? Just pretend whatever.
Mm.
How awesome is that? I was talking with the holidays passed and everything, and there was Christmas gatherings, and so in one of the Christmas gatherings, one person was talking to another relative and was just saying, "Yeah, it's pretty much like 80% of people out there hate their jobs." I was shocked, and I was even more shocked that the uncle was like, "Yeah, he totally agreed." Now, I don't know if that's a true statement or not because that's very high. Maybe they just don't like their jobs. But wow, that's it's a surprise to me because I almost sometimes I forget how lucky we are to just be artists, to do art for a living, right? That's awesome. So
That's
concentrate
it.
on the
Yeah.
the enjoying the process of art. Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off.
Oh no, not at all. But I'm just thinking like two thoughts. Like, one is like I feel like a lot of times it's like a love hate thing, but with our jobs, and some people just focus more on the hate part. But then how do you know you love it if there's no hate, right? There's no contrast. But it's only good when you've gone through like frustration, and then you get to the end of it. That's where the love part comes in.
How do you know if you really love it if you don't hate it at all? That's so weird. Honestly, I
Like,
feel
you
like
know,
you could absolutely love your job without experiencing hating your job. Because for me, I feel like I've been in this happy bubble this whole entire time, and I'm just like, oh, really? People don't like their jobs out there? Like, I feel like an ass saying it the way that I just said it just now, but honestly, that's how I felt. And it's
mm,
because I try to constantly just be in that moment, and just like experience it all. I'm talking with you, Schwan, halfway across the world, and Patricia's on here
yeah.
too, and it's like awesome, and there's like this whole community, and we're just painting and drawing. I'm showing you one of these drawings I just did the other day, and you know, this is my job. This is fun. All right,
It's about your perspective. Yeah. What do you focus on?
absolutely. Uh, Xian, Shi, Shin, Chin. I butchered that.
She's, yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's she's, yeah. She
Shazam?
sounds Asian because she.
Sorry. Anyhow, yeah, horrible joke, but wonderful question. Hey, Bobby and
Mm.
Schwen. I'm going to say Schwen instead of Mistake because Mistake couldn't make it today. It's late, 4 a.m. over here. And here's my random question. When does confidence become arrogance? I love that. Whether be a popular or experienced artist. Oh, that is so good. I think
Such
that's really like brings up the important aspect of creating your own little tribe of people that will remain honest, remain 100% with you and how they feel about your stuff. That is a very, very important thing. And sometimes when people get more and more successful, they stop thinking um, that there's other good ideas out there, and
mm,
really just start to kind of surround themselves with people that agree with them.
mm, mm.
That's very easy to do, especially if you become more and more popular, more and more successful, more and more people are going to want to hang out with you.
Mm.
I'm going to give a big shout out to Dan Marisanu, owner of Labyrinth Books in Toronto, in Oakville. That guy, I've known him since I was a little teenager, maybe 14 years old or something. He's been selling books since he was like 14, 16 years old. Uh, some people, some people I know his humor rubs them the wrong way, but I love the guy because he is always 100% honest with everything that he says to me. He is totally not afraid to burst my bubble when I come up to him and tell him like all these, oh yeah, we're gonna be doing this next and this next, and he'll be like, yeah, is that really a good idea though? Oh, because be careful of this. This might happen, and then the whole entire thing goes down. Yeah, really great to have a good bunch of people around you that aren't just yes people all the time.
Right, right.
Right. Yes.
Interesting, because especially for someone like you, Bobby, right? Where you have reached a certain position, you do tend to have people who are more willing to be, are more prone to be agreeable to you, and it's really hard to find people who are who kind of has the balls to come up and say, you know what, actually, like that's not easy to find. Yeah.
Before we go any further, I just saw somebody joined in on the stream.
Hi,
EIJI. How do you
Yes,
pronounce
he
that?
has a
I
question.
Awesome. Yeah. Ask away.
Hi,
Hello.
Hi, I
can you hear me?
Yes. How do you pronounce your name, by the
yes.
way?
No, it's just my username,
Oh, okay.
but my real name is Sophie.
Hi, Sophie.
Sophie. Okay. Hi, Sophie.
Hi, just wanted to say first, thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, our
Um,
pleasure.
yeah, my question is, how do you make time for personal projects when you always have work to do?
Well, I have my target, which is I want to do more and more personal projects as work. How do I get that to happen? Right? And if you kind of focus in on that, every step that you can get closer to that, take it. So, for example, our Nico and the Sword of Light. By the way, Nico and the Sword of Light is nominated for an Annie Award towards the end of this month. Big shouts out. Uh, um, so that all started because we made an independent animated comic book. It took about 2 years. It took a lot of late nights and weekends. So, sacrifice, schedule, but as well, we kind of slowly start to make it part of our job. How can this benefit the company? How could this benefit you in your freelance career? Could you make it an excuse to do it even more? Those are always the questions in my head. And not only that, but just like personal projects, it could range from a personal art project to something like, oh, I want to go on trips to different places in the world, right? And that became Schoolism workshops. So
Mm.
I know that sounds like kind of like, okay, well, yeah, you could do that because you got these pieces in place. But it always starts off with one piece that is just yours. For me, that was teaching people on the subways of Toronto for 5 years consistently every Sunday for free. And that started kind of like a reputation of teaching, which led into schoolism, which led into workshops around the world. And then I was traveling around the world. Sounds very simplified. Well, thank you so much for your question, though. Where are you from, by the way?
No, thank you. Oh, I'm from Mexico.
Excellent, excellent. Well, big shouts out to all the
Thank you.
Mexicans out there. Love y'all.
Thank you. Yesterday I got the school subscription, the year one.
Oh,
Oh,
fantastic.
nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, big plug. Okay, get ready for a nice big fat commercial here. But with one Schoolism subscription, everybody, you get over 30 plus courses and a Craig Mullins course that's about to come out. Let me show you a sneak peek if you don't mind. Uh, this is what the Craig Mullins course is all about. He wanted to make a course where he does not fast forward at all. He says there's a lot of things to be learned from just watching somebody paint and draw. So he just painted and drew this beautiful piece of art in about less than 9 hours, I would say. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's less than 9 hours. Um, chopped up into 9 lessons where he narrates the whole entire thing and explains his whole entire thought process. Oh, here's the painting. Can you see that? Well, you guys won't see this just yet because you have a little bit of delay from the stream, but everybody in the stream is going to see this right now. It's he was like, I might get this wrong, but he was like saying, it's about, 10, 20,000 people taking apart a giant spaceship. It's nuts. And he did the whole entire thing in like less than 9 hours. So that course is a brand new course. It isn't out yet, but it will be out later this month. And there's 30 plus others taught by over 25 high level, crazy level artists, all for one subscription, and that one subscription is usually only $300. Right now, you can get $100 off of that, $200 for an entire year of education. That's on schoolism.com. All right, I'm done. Thank you. Sorry. Is anybody still left on this stream? Looks like there's a bunch.
I
Yes.
wanted to say thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thanks.
My
Yeah.
pleasure, Sophie.
Thank
Thank you
you
so
for
much.
doing this stream.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
All
Thank you for
right.
joining.
Next question here is from Anonymous. When you know that you're not good, how do you make yourself keep trying? Anonymous, Anonymous, I want to just like, I just want to, I don't know, just give you a big hug right now and like, just go, yeah, we are all not good in the beginning, you know? So the path, if you want to be an artist, it's literally like you're looking at two paths. One is to become an artist, and that means you're going to keep going. Even if it's frustrating, be in the moment, be in the process, be aware that you're frustrated. Look at it as it's some weird kind of feeling in your head, you know? Oh, that's weird. Yeah, I'm super pissed right now, and I'm really frustrated. Isn't that funny? Isn't that odd? You know, keep going. The other road is to quit and to become something else because you're not going to be an artist that way. And it's really a choice. That's what it is. It's a choice of, do you want to be an artist or do you not? Because if you want to be an artist, you can. You absolutely can. And if you want to paint incredibly well or draw incredibly well, you can. Yeah, man. It's like so many of these people, I just feel for them so much because I know the thing that's stopping them is really nothing. It's them. It's the voice in their minds. And really, I would love to just grab that voice and smack it down for you. You know, so like, do that in your own head. Tell your voice to shut up. We're doing some painting and drawing. This is fun. There you go. All right, so we have a new coughing guest I just saw there. Sorry. But why don't you say your name and tell me your question?
Java.
Java.
Hi, Java.
Oh, hello. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay. So my question is, so I'm a senior in high school,
Excellent.
and I see on like social media all of these like artists who are so young and like a lot younger than me and a lot better, and I started drawing in my freshman year and I'm still not super good. So how do you like combat that? Oh, you're never gonna get as good as them when they're so young. I don't know. Did that make sense? I'm sorry.
Totally. That totally makes sense. And I'm sure all the 30, 40-year-olds out there listening are just like, ah, my gosh, she is so like, she's got all the time in the world, totally, you know, in the right time and everything. Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. So and Java, is that your name? Java, or is it Yava or something?
It's like a nickname, but my real name is Jamie.
Jamie. Awesome.
Yeah.
And where are you from, Jamie?
Houston, Texas.
Excellent. So Jamie, let me ask you this. Do you have an ultimate goal of working in games, movies, television, animation, illustration?
Animation, like a background artist.
Okay. So right now, say when you start your career and you start cooking and everything, uh, before you know it, in a bunch of years, say it takes you till you're 35, but you become art director of environments for feature films for, Pixar or Disney or Leica or Netflix or whatever. Would that make you feel good?
Yeah.
Right? And say you didn't get to that point. And okay, let's say after 35, you're doing nothing but amazing projects. You're doing really incredibly well. That would be great too. Now say
Mhm.
you only got to that level by the time you were 34. So it took you 14 years of hard work and perhaps a bit of a tough life, right? Struggles.
Mhm.
But knowing that there is that end of the tunnel where it is absolute paradise for your heart, your love of art and all that stuff, you'd probably still go through all that crap.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you got some crap to go through, but you don't have a lot of crap because you're still young. But that's what I want to kind of explain to you. Like, I went through a lot of crap, but would I go through it again? Absolutely, guaranteed. I'd go through it 20,000 times because like, if you are happy with your job and you're happy with your life and everything, you're doing cool things that you really like, man, that is so worth it. It is so worth it to take a few years of hard work and, you know, um, challenges and things like that. And once you develop
Mhm.
those skills, nobody can take those skills away from you. That's the other great thing. You've got them. You got them for life, and they translate to all sorts of different things. So, yeah. And the other thing is, when I quit school, or not when I quit school, when I graduated,
Mhm.
I see all my friends getting intro jobs, beginner jobs in the industry, and I'm trying to work on my art. I'm trying to work on my own studio. It felt like everybody was going right past me, right? And I was slowing down, and but that's why I said before, don't compare your art to others. See what others are doing, but the best person to compare yourself to is yourself. Okay, Jamie?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So good luck, and thank you very much for your question.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And so we got a couple other people on here. Does anybody else have
Taranja.
another Taranja or 2C4T?
Or two cats? Two cats?
Oh yeah, hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
You hear me?
Yeah. What's your name? Where
Nice.
are you from?
My name is Liam. I'm from Germany.
Awesome.
Hi,
Hey, Liam.
Liam.
Hey. So basically, my question is like, I'm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty confident with like the art stuff and yeah, the direction I'm going in. But I'm like kind of struggling with like a skin illness. Like it's more like mental illness. I get really depressed sometimes.
Ah,
Like what would do you know any people who like struggle with similar stuff and do you have any advice for that?
yeah. Do you feel like it's kind of like a chemical imbalance as well? Like,
Yeah, it's actually like sometimes in the morning I'm like really struggling, like not normal struggle. It's like really hard to get out of bed and that kind of stuff. So
mm,
I'm pretty sure it's like really close with the skin illness and I'm just struggling really hard with it. That's basically it.
I I totally understand. I've actually heard of things like this before. I've had friends like this before where it is a chemical imbalance. So for all those out there just going, just hype yourself up, just get out of that funk. Well, it is different because there's different chemicals going through your brain making you like this. So what my friend did was she just really cleaned up her diet, and that helped a lot. Which made
So
me
basically
actually,
all sugar, like cutting out
yeah,
all that
a
kind of
lot of
stuff.
sugar, cut out a lot of sugar, added in a lot of leafy greens. Now, obviously, this is a nutritional podcast, but this is what she did. And uh, I've done this as well. And I felt like a huge change, like a noticeable change when I started to eat like 70% leafy greens as many days in a row as I can. And then like 20% would be protein. And then only 10% is healthy fats like nuts or avocados. And the whole entire theory behind this is, say you eat all the right ingredients for a healthy meal, but you eat the wrong amounts of each of those ingredients. Will it still be healthy for you? Most likely not, right?
Yeah, so there's I looked into keto and that kind of stuff. So there's also like I think like 25% this and then 20% that. Is that like what you say?
Yes, yes. The one that I was doing was from this guy named Dr. Mark Hyman. He does this detox thing that I found online. I thought it was very interesting. Heard a bunch of
Mark
interviews
Hyman,
from,
yeah.
yeah, heard a bunch of interviews from him, and it was really cool.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And of course, exercise, meditation, those are big as well. I'm sure you know that. Uh,
Okay, yeah.
but I wish
Thank
you a lot of luck, Liam. And a lot of times I just, whether it's true or not, I just think about it as uh, this is life's test because you can be going towards amazing things. And because they're so amazing, life's going to throw this obstacle in your way, you know?
Okay, cool, man. I really appreciate it, though.
My
I
pleasure.
really like what you're doing here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. It's very encouraging.
Okay, goodbye.
All right. Take care. All right. And that's all the time we have today. So I just want to say thank you so much. And now, before we go on any further, just a reminder to subscribe to this channel so that you can find this channel again. Also, hit the notification button so you'll be notified when there's a new video. All right, everybody. So thank you so much. Thank you to everybody that tuned in and my co-hosts, Shiuan Chan, and my moderator for Discord, Patricia. Thank you guys so much for helping out once again. See you guys next time.
Always happy to be here.